There are moments in life when something feels off, but you can't explain why. You walk into a room and suddenly your energy dips. You leave a conversation and feel like you've lost a part of yourself. You think it's just fatigue or maybe overthinking, but deep down, you know, something is watching. Something is watching. And if you've experienced this more than once, then listen closely. You may be the target of a dark chosen one. These are not your average manipulators. These are individuals, conscious or unconscious, who've tapped into the art of energetic manifestation, not in service of light, but in service of control. And here's the truth most spiritual circles won't tell you. You don't have to go looking for them. When your light gets strong enough, they come to you, because your energy becomes valuable, not as a gift, but as a resource. And they don't always show up as enemies. Sometimes they show up as lovers, friends, mentors, soulmates. But the signature is always the same. You start to lose touch with your own center. The first sign that a dark chosen one is manifesting you is this: your inner clarity gets hijacked. You were once confident, grounded, clear in your path, then suddenly everything feels like fog. You second-guess decisions. You mistrust your gut. You start looking to them for answers you used to find in yourself. This is not coincidence. It's not just psychological. It's energetic. They are projecting a frequency field around you that subtly draws your attention, your will, your essence into their orbit. And they do it with precision. Compliments that keep you addicted to their validation. Advice that sounds supportive, but subtly reinforces dependence. Conversations that always circle back to their reality, their pain, their importance. You start shape-shifting around them without even realizing it. And the scariest part of you feels chosen by them, like you've been singled out for something special. But ask yourself, if you being chosen means you lose yourself, is that really a gift, or is it a trap dressed in spiritual language? The second sign is exhaustion that doesn't match your output. You wake up drained. You walk away from interactions feeling like your aura has been siphoned. You start needing more rest, more caffeine, more stimulation just to function. But it's not your body, it's your field that's being accessed. Dark chosen ones don't always steal your energy consciously, but they feed on attention, admiration, and emotional reaction. That's the currency of their manifestation. The more you think about them, the more energy flows their way. The more you feel split between your truth and their influence, the more your soul leaks power. And they can feel it. On a subtle level, they know how to keep you orbiting them. They'll send a message just as you're about to move on. They'll post something cryptic that reels you back in. They'll mirror your wounds just enough to make you feel seen, then twist that mirror to make you doubt your healing. This is not romance. This is not mentorship. It's a spiritual contract designed to drain you slowly while keeping you close. The third and most terrifying sign: time begins to distort. You lose hours, days, even weeks in a fog of emotional processing. You replay conversations in your head. You imagine future scenarios with them. You feel like you're in a loop that doesn't end. This is not just a trauma response, it's a binding. You are being energetically tethered to a timeline that's not yours. One they're feeding with intention, one that requires your light to stay alive. And you can feel it, can't you? That sense that you're living someone else's destiny, that you're not quite in sync with your own soul anymore, that your dreams have gone quiet, that your body is speaking in symptoms, tension, headaches, gut issues, but your mind keeps defending the connection. Why? Because their frequency has subtly merged with yours, and until you recognize it, name it, and reclaim your field, you'll keep calling it chemistry or fate or karma. But it's none of those things. It's an energetic invasion disguised as intimacy. And the longer it goes unnamed, the deeper the roots grow. So I ask you now, with all the love and fire I can offer, who in your life feels magnetically powerful, but leaves you spiritually confused? Who pulls you in with charisma, but leaves you questioning your own truth? Who do you think about more than you should? Even when they're not around, even when they've done nothing to earn that much space in your mind. That's not just attraction. That's not just emotion. It could be a sign that you're being manifested, not for love, not for healing, but for use. And the moment you see it, really see it, the spell begins to break. Because no one can hold power over you without your unconscious permission. The dark chosen ones rely on your unawareness. They depend on your silence. But when you name the pattern, when you reclaim your energy, when you stand in the full awareness of your light, they lose access. Instantly. Not because you fought them, but because you remembered who you are. And that remembering is the most dangerous thing in the world to those who live on borrowed power. Unseen contracts, psychic hooks in the battle for your destiny field. There's something most people don't understand about human energy. It's not just a personal aura. It's a field of potential, a living map of timelines, possibilities, ancestral codes, and soul missions. I call it your destiny field. And when you enter into close energetic proximity with someone, especially someone who knows how to manipulate energy, that field can be bent. This is where the fourth and fifth signs appear. The fourth sign is subtle but unmistakable. Your life starts moving in directions that don't feel like yours. Maybe your goals shift, or your desires start to mirror theirs. Maybe you stop pursuing your own passions and instead begin orbiting theirs. You justify this as compromise, or worse, destiny. But deep down, something feels off. What's really happening is that a dark chosen one has begun weaving your field into theirs. Not out of love, out of strategy. They don't want to walk beside your purpose. They want to insert themselves into it. And if you're not conscious, they will reroute your entire destiny to feed their own path. The fifth sign is the presence of psychic hooks. These aren't visible cords. They're emotional anchors, implanted through charged moments, unresolved conversations, or traumatic intimacy. You'll feel them when you try to pull away, and suddenly you're overwhelmed with guilt, fear, or longing. You may even hear their voice in your head, or feel their emotional state as if it's your own. This isn't imagination. It's entanglement. These hooks are often created during moments of deep emotional vulnerability. A breakdown, a confession, a sexual exchange, a soul-bonding ceremony that felt sacred, but was actually a binding ritual in disguise. You didn't mean to give them access, but they knew exactly when to reach in. And now your nervous system has been trained to respond to their frequency even when they're not physically present. That's why cutting contact doesn't always cut the energy. Because the real connection wasn't physical, it was psychic. And until you identify and remove the hooks, they'll keep pulling you back through dreams, signs, and emotional echoes. This brings us to the sixth sign, and it's one most people never recognize until it's too late. Your intuition starts to go silent. Not all at once, but gradually, like a dimming light. You stop hearing the inner yes and no. You start second-guessing the guidance you once trusted. You may even feel like your higher self has gone offline. But it hasn't. It's still there. It's just being jammed. When a dark chosen one is manifesting you, they often install their will so deeply into your field that your own soul's voice gets drowned out. This is not psychic attack, it's psychic replacement. Suddenly, their desires feel like your purpose. Their emotions feel like your responsibility. Their suffering becomes your mission to heal. This is how they take over your spiritual operating system, by convincing you that they're part of your divine assignment. But let me ask you something radical. What if your purpose is not to save them, but to free yourself from them? What if your awakening depends on saying no to the very person who convinced you they were your mirror? And that leads us to the seventh sign, the most powerful one. Your body starts to rebel. Not just fatigue, not just anxiety, but deep cellular resistance. You feel it in your gut, in your chest, in your breath. Your body knows before your mind does. And when you try to override that wisdom to stay connected to this person, your body protests. Headaches, insomnia, panic, even illness. This is not random. Your body is trying to eject the intrusion. It's trying to remind you that your energy is sacred and that something foreign is trying to live inside it. The body never lies. And if you've been feeling these symptoms not in isolation but as a pattern, especially around a specific person, it's time to listen. Because your nervous system is speaking, your soul is speaking, your destiny is speaking. And if you don't answer, someone else will. That's the real danger. Not possession, but replacement. The slow, subtle takeover of your life force until you forget who you were before they arrived. So let me ask you this, from the deepest part of my being, are you living out your true blueprint or someone else's projection? Are your dreams yours? Are your fears even yours? Or have you been spiritually scripted by someone who saw your light and knew how to bend it toward their will? This is not about blame. It's about awareness. Because once you become conscious of the contract, you can rewrite it. Once you name the hook, you can remove it. Once you honor your body, you can break the spell. And when you do, the field clears, the fog lifts, and your destiny begins to realign not toward them but back toward you. That's your divine right. And no one, no matter how chosen they believe they are, has the authority to rewrite your soul without your permission. Breaking the spell. How to sever the etheric ties and reclaim your sacred timeline. Breaking free from a dark chosen one isn't just about walking away physically. It's about reclaiming every thread of yourself they've woven into their narrative. And that begins with recognition. You must see the spell for what it really is. A distortion field built on subtle agreements you didn't realize you were making. Every time you said yes when your body screamed no. Every time you gave energy out of guilt instead of love. Every time you silenced your truth to preserve the connection. These are the micro-agreements that gave them access. But here's the power no one talks about. You can revoke consent at any time. Even if it was unconscious. Even if it was karmic. Even if it's been years. The soul has sovereignty written into its core. And once you consciously declare, no more, the field begins to shift. But this isn't just about words. You must embody the revocation. That means cutting cords not just with the person, but with the version of you that needed their approval, their chaos, their validation to feel alive. That's where the real liberation happens. To sever etheric ties, you need a threefold approach: energetic, emotional, and spiritual. Energetically, you must clear your field. Breathwork, cold water, sacred smoke, salt baths, and time in nature all help to purge the static. But this is not a one-time ritual. It's a discipline. Imagine your aura is a house. If you don't clean it regularly, residue builds up. And right now, you're not just cleaning dust, you're removing hooks. That requires intention and consistency. Emotionally, you must grieve. Not just the person, but who you thought you were with them. Because even toxic bonds come with emotional highs. The fantasy, the hope, the illusion of being the one who saves them. Let it die. Mourn it like a lost part of your identity, because it was. Spiritually, you must reclaim your timeline. Speak it, write it, pray it. Declare it out loud. I reclaim my energy. I reclaim my mission. I reclaim my body, my dreams, my voice, my path. The universe responds to clarity. And when you say it with conviction, the distortion field begins to collapse. The hooks dissolve, the contract burns, and something ancient inside you begins to wake up. And then comes the final phase, the reintegration. Because once the spell is broken, a space opens within you. And that space must be filled, not with another distraction, not with another savior, but with you. The real you. The you that existed before you were shaped by their projection. This is the moment the sacred timeline begins to re-download. You'll start remembering things you forgot you loved. Creative impulses will return. Old dreams will resurface. And your intuition, the one they silenced, will come back online with a roar. But be warned, they may try to return. Not always physically, but energetically. They'll feel the cord break. they'll feel their access fading. And they may send out a hook disguised as apology, synchronicity, or unfinished business. Don't fall for it. The test is not whether they come back. The test is whether you still need them to. Because the moment you can see them clearly and choose yourself anyway, you have truly broken the spell. And the path ahead, it's pure, it's sovereign, it's yours. No one can take it from you now.